Hello everyone, my name is Dan Atanacio. I go to Sturgeon Heights Collegiate in Winnipeg, Canada, and this is my project for my grade 12 IB Computer Science class. I was asked by my client to create a fast-paced and entertaining video game, so I created a bullet hell. A bullet hell is essentially the same as an ordinary shoot 'em up, but with a twist. They mainly feature an overwhelming number of enemy projectiles. The name of my game is called Lunar Dial 2 because it is the improved version of the game I made with a partner last year. The instructions for the game is inside the main menu. The movement of the player is done with the arrow keys. To shoot, you press the Z key. To focus, you press down the Shift key. Focus is a feature of a bullet hell where you slow down your own movement to make it easier to dodge bullets, and finally, the pause button, which is the escape key. The objective is to defeat the enemies while taking the least amount of damage. I have included a few tips to help understand the game. Enemies will make a different noise when they have low health. Getting close to an enemy bullet will increase your score. The term for that is called graze, and your final score is based on the amount of bullets grazed, minus the damage taken. The game includes two different bullet types which have slightly different properties. You may also disable the music and enable easy graze, which makes it so that there are boxes drawn around every object to help visualize where you need to be to gain points. Finally, at the bottom you will see a functioning high score table. The prototype was created in the NetBeans editor, and later I coded the final main menu using a JFrame in an empty class. Now here's where the game actually happens. On the side, I display the player's score and the amount of damage taken. On the top left, I have the amount of frames per second displayed, and at the bottom, I have the instructions on how to start the game. I created this game with the help of two code libraries. The Lightweight Java Game Library, which incorporates popular native APIs, such as OpenGL for graphics and OpenAL for audio, and Slick2D, which is a library that is an easy-to-use set of tools and utilities that incorporate the Lightweight Java Game Library to make 2D Java game development easier. With the help of Slick2D and its methods, I created a game where it has multiple states. Here I am in a state where the actual game takes place, and when I pause, for example, the game stops updating and rendering from the code of the previous state and begins updating and rendering from the code of its current state. Please note that the game will not run as well as it should due to the recording software. For the purpose of this video, I have lowered the hit points of the boss from 5,000 to 100 and disabled the music. Here's a quick demonstration of attack patterns that the boss can execute. As you can see, there are lots of bullets on the screen at once. This accurately represents what a bullet hell is. The way the boss works is that its patterns change slightly at certain percentages of its health. For example, when the boss is under 50%, its patterns will become slightly more difficult. When the boss is under 30% health, it will execute a traditional bullet hell pattern, which is simply a spiral. Everything about this game's bullet patterns are indicated by sound. Therefore, sound is very important when playing this game. Once the boss has been defeated, you must wait for all bullets to disappear before you may continue. The game will then automatically switch to the game over state. Here it displays the points you earned and the damage taken as well. It will then calculate your final score and prompt you to press enter to continue. You will then be asked to insert a 3-letter name to add into the high score. It will not accept anything more or under 3 letters. After the game, we'll ask you to press enter again to exit. Finally, it will add your score and name into a list, sort it, and then it will display the top 5 entries. Before you're able to run my game, you must first set up a few things. First, go to the properties of the project. Next, go to Run. Here, in the VM options, you must write -d-java.library.path equals. Then put the directory of the lightweight Java game library native folder which is included inside the project. Finally, you must add 2 libraries into your project. Create 2 libraries. The first one is for Slick2D. After you create an empty library, you must add a jar to the library class path. Simply navigate to the slick.jar file included in the project. Next, you must create an empty library for the lightweight Java game library as well. You do the same thing as Slick2D by navigating to the necessary jars, which is jinput, lwjgl, and lwjgl_util, which are all included in the project. You are now ready to run the project. Now we will dive into some code. Here's my minion class. This is where I created the logic for the enemy bullet pattern. I have a timer that starts out at 5 seconds and it will count down. Each attack pattern is assigned to an integer, and it will always keep track of its current attack pattern and its previous attack pattern. It will begin by checking if the boss is low health. If it is, it will set its attack pattern to 1. If not, it will continue through the code. First, it will generate a random integer for one of 3 random patterns, with pattern 1 being the simplest. If pattern 1 ever occurs twice in a row, it will randomly assign a different pattern that isn't pattern 1. Random add determines whether the knife type bullet has a delayed acceleration or not. Random pat determines whether or not the knife type bullet at the earlier stages of the boss is fired in a circle or in a sweeping motion. The rest of the code in this method resets the timer back to 5 or 2 depending on the previous pattern and plays some sound. Finally, the game engine. Each state has these 3 methods: initialize, update, and render. Init is only called once upon creating the state. Update has a target rate of 60 updates per second, which also has an included delta variable for the time in between updates, and finally, the render method to draw all the graphics. That is the end of my video, and thank you for having a look at my grade 12 IB project.